Welcome to AI in 8 minutes or less, your daily AI update. Today, we're going to dive into a new AI agent framework that's making a lot of noise, and it's all because of one huge question.
Yep, that's the question buzzing all over the AI community. Is there an OpenClaw killer on the loose? It's a bold thing to ask, and it really sets the stage for everything we're about to get into. So is the reigning champ of AI agents really in trouble? Let's find out. So, say hello to the new contender. It's called Hermes, and it's an open source framework from a research company called New Research. Now, if you've ever played around with OpenClaw, that super popular tool for building these AI assistants, well, the setup for Hermes will feel really familiar. You just install it with a simple command, hook it up to your chat app, and you're good to go. But, and this is a big but, while it feels the same on the surface, what's happening underneath is a whole different ballgame.
To really get the difference, we need a super simple but really powerful way to think about it. So let's forget about the code for a minute. Just think of it like this. It's a battle of the brain versus the arms. If you can remember that one thing, everything else is going to click into place.
And this slide right here just nails it. Think of Hermes as the brain. It's specialized, it's strategic, and it's built to learn and get better and better at one specific thing over time. Then you have OpenClaw, which, true to its name, is like the arms. It's a generalist. It's an amazing orchestrator that can connect to tons of different tools to just get stuff done. So one is for deep thinking, the other is for broad action.
All right, so keeping that whole brain versus arms idea in your head, let's break down the three big technical differences that really show what sets these two apart.
First up, and you could argue this is the most important one, is how these agents learn. How do they get smarter? This is where that whole brain idea for Hermes really starts to make sense.
This quote is everything. See, Hermes is designed from day one to improve at one thing, all by itself. So let's say you build an automated trading bot with it. That bot is going to analyze its own trades, learn from the feedback you give it, and tweak its strategy automatically. Now, could you make OpenClaw do that? Sure, but you'd have to build that whole learning system yourself. With Hermes, it's baked right in.
Okay, next up. Let's talk about how these agents get new abilities, or what everyone calls skills. And here's where you see a totally different philosophy. Hermes is basically self-sufficient. If it needs a new skill to do something, it just writes the code for it and creates it right then and there. OpenClaw, on the other hand, is all about the power of the community. It leans on external libraries from places like ClawHub, which is this big public hub of skills people have built. That's awesome for having lots of options. But as you'll see in a second, it comes with some serious security questions.
And finally, the third huge difference, memory. I mean, how well do these things actually remember what you told them yesterday or last week? For a lot of us, this has been a massive source of frustration.
Oh man, if you've ever used OpenClaw, you know this pain. That feeling when it completely forgets the context from your last conversation, it's rough. Well, Hermes tackles this problem head on. It has memory management built right in that learns what you like, keeps its logs tidy, and actually remembers things. It learns who you are and what you're trying to do.
So let's do a super quick recap with this table. When it comes to learning, Hermes has it built in. With OpenClaw, you got to do it yourself. For skills, Hermes makes its own, while OpenClaw relies on the community. And for memory, Hermes is persistent and manages itself, while OpenClaw is mostly session-based and often needs help from other tools.
Now, we just talked about community-built skills, and you can't have that conversation without talking about security. This is a really, really important point to consider when you're deciding which tool to let run loose on your computer. 36%. Just let that number sink in for a second. According to one study, that's the percentage of skills on OpenClaw's community hub that have some kind of security vulnerability. That is a huge number. Look, this isn't to knock the OpenClaw team. Its open design is what makes it so powerful. But that openness is also its single biggest security risk. It's a classic trade-off. Hermes just goes a different way. Any packaged skills have to go through a formal approval process. And since it mostly writes its own skills, the chance of running into malicious code from some random person is just way, way lower. Okay, so we've spent all this time talking about Hermes versus OpenClaw. But what if that's the completely wrong way to think about this? What if the real pro move here isn't about picking a winner, but about building the ultimate team?
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It brings our whole analogy full circle. Why would you choose between the brain and the arms when you can have both working together?
So check this out. Here's how it could work. Hermes, our brain, does the heavy thinking. It analyzes a bunch of market data, for instance, and comes up with a strategy. Then, it delegates the actual doing part to OpenClaw. So OpenClaw, the arms, connects to whatever tools it needs, does the task, and then reports back to Hermes. You get the absolute best of both worlds: deep, strategic learning and wide, powerful execution.
So where does all this leave us? What's the real takeaway here? Well, it's not about which tool is better. That's the wrong question. It's about picking the right tool for the right job, or even better, the right team of tools.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. If you have a single, long-term task that needs to constantly learn and get better, like that trading bot or maybe a social media agent, Hermes is your best bet. But if you need to coordinate hundreds of different little tasks across a ton of different tools to run your entire business, well, then OpenClaw is still the king of orchestration.
And that really brings us to our final thought. This whole Hermes and OpenClaw thing, it might just be a sneak peek at the future of AI agents. Are we moving toward a future with one single all-powerful master agent that does absolutely everything? Or is the future going to belong to these interconnected teams of super specialized agents, where each one is a master of its own little domain? It's a pretty fascinating question to think about.